Hello everyone, Lawrence here from Unicorn Reviews. Today we're looking at Be Quiet's latest cooler. This is the Silent Loop 280. As always, we'll start with a physical overview. So I'm going to start at the pump side of things. So this pump has a copper cold plate, it's nickel plated, a very big plate, very nice and shiny, it's very lovely polished, like it a lot. Now the pump block itself is actually slightly bigger than your average pump block that you get with like a Silverstone or a Corsair cooler, but it still fits very well within the Intel specifications, so installation clearance is not an issue at all. The pump flows the liquid in two different directions, so that's partially to get around Acetec's patent trolling. It's also to really improve noise, and I have to say this is the most silent pump that I've ever encountered in an all-in-one liquid cooler, which is also the only reason why I'm planning to actually stick to this one instead of going back to my air coolers that I love so much. On the top is a lovely brushed aluminium plate with the Be Quiet logo on there, and also, and Be Quiet never mentions this in any of the marketing material, but it's actually an expandable all-in-one liquid loop. It uses 1/4 inch fittings, so if you want to change the tubing, that you can do. If you don't like the coils at all, you can change the tubing, you can change the radiator or add in a graphics card block. The tubing is 39 centimeters long, and I know there are going to be a lot of mixed opinions on how it looks. Some people hate the coils around the tubes, other people may actually like it. All I can say about it is that it didn't kink no matter how badly I treated it. Now about the radiator, it's a 280mm radiator, so that's dual 140 fans. The end tanks on the non-tubing side are actually very small, but then on the tubing side the end tanks are slightly bigger because there is also room for these 1/4 inch fittings to go on there. Now Be Quiet only includes 9 screws for fans, which basically means that you're limited to the 2 included PureWings 2 PWM fans. Now these fans, they move an awful lot of air, but they are pretty loud around the 12 volt setting, so I kept it lower, but as you'll see in my testing, that doesn't really impact performance all that much. Installation is a lot easier than with Be Quiet's air coolers, but not quite as good as Noctua air coolers. So the way it installs is you just put a backplate in. The backplate though doesn't have its own pins, so it's quite tricky to hold in place. And then you put this sprung assembly onto the block and then just screw it in from the front. And it even, if you over tighten it, the metal washer at the back will actually spin, damaging the rear plastic plate, but also making sure that you don't over tighten things. So if you feel it jump once, it's probably a good idea to stop twisting your screwdriver. Now I really like this product, so it's in my system in the way that I'm going to keep using it. As you can see, it's all the way at the back, so that we're actually using the power supply as a second fan, getting a push-pull situation on half of the radiator. But for my testing, I moved the radiator all the way to the front. And so here are the testing results on your screen right now. Obviously, it outperforms everything, but it's also as expensive as number 2 and 3 combined. As you can see in the 12 volt graph, there's a very small difference between the D14 and the Silent Loop, but that is partially because in the D14 review, which I did all the way in summer when it was an ambient temperature of 28 degrees, and I'm reviewing this in winter and I couldn't get the ambient higher than 23 degrees, the difference is pretty small. So basically what happens is when ambient temperatures go up, there's a lot more energy in the air already, so it's a lot easier for coolers to get rid of the heat. So the higher the ambient temperature is, the lower the deltas will be, which doesn't really make this comparison completely fair, but I'm really sorry I can't get this room any hotter than it is right now. Moving to the 7 volt results, and this is still with the pump at 12 volts because obviously it's silent enough, you don't need to run it lower than 12 volts, and you shouldn't run it lower than 12 volts. But again, it only is 0.9 degrees warmer than at 12 volts, but it's like a third of the noise. So you would be pretty, I wouldn't say stupid, but it's pretty silly to run it at the highest fan settings. Now the testing that I just showed, that is a 3570K de-lidded running at 1.18 volts and 4.2 gigahertz. Of course, for me and especially for the Silent Loop 280, that is not enough to stress it. So I decided to have some more fun, and we're just running it at 1.4 volts, which is the maximum Intel safe voltage for these CPUs. And we got 4.6 gigahertz out of it. It just about didn't want to do 4.7, so meh. And we're really happy with this because I'm only running the fans at 5 volts and we're getting like 80 degrees on the CPU. So if you're going to really stress your overclocks and really go up to that maximum rated voltage, then this is actually a great option. I guess for a final conclusion, I really like it. It's by far the quietest, and I am actually going to continue using it because it is quite enough for my standards, which are incredibly high. But for you guys, I don't know, maybe you guys want RGB stuff going on, maybe you guys want quick connect fittings, or you want push-pull out of the box. Let me know all that stuff in the comment area below. Guys, if you like this video, press that like button, and if you didn't, that's where the subscribe button is there for, because I will eventually make a video that you do like. Now, if you want to follow this channel, there is Twitter, Facebook and Instagram for gorgeous pictures of all-in-one liquid coolers. And if you want to really support the channel, there's Patreon and paypal.me. For now though, thank you very much for watching.